Hi, hi, good evening, everyone. This is Shefali Singla, and in this session, we are going to talk about asymptotic notations and comparison of functions. So, those who have joined the session, guys, quickly give me the confirmation if the audio and the video is fine. तो आज वाले सेशन में हम लोग डिस्कस करेंगे कि asymptotic notation क्या होता है, why we are using the asymptotic notation, what are the different types of asymptotic notations. तो बहुत छोटी सी चीज है, I'll not go into the technical details. सिर्फ हम क्विक रिवीजन करेंगे, जो डिटेल्ड चीजें हैं वो ऑलरेडी मैंने डिस्कस की हुई हैं in the you can say in the recorded sessions, right, which is available on the Testbook platform. तो जितना हमें एग्जाम पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से या किसी क्वेश्चन को सॉल्व करने के लिए चाहिए उतना ही हम डिस्कस करेंगे. एंड द मेन थिंग इज the comparison of functions. Comparison of functions is straightforward question aate. They'll give you few functions and they may ask you to arrange those functions in the ascending order or descending order. तो जब आपको sort करने हैं, arrange करने हैं functions, तो definitely we need to identify that which function is greater and which function is smaller. So for that we need to do the comparison. There are various ways to do the comparison for the functions, but I'll discuss one simplest approach which will work in almost all the type of questions. Okay, तो एक बार फटाफट से जो लोग ज्वाइन कर चुके हैं एक बार कंफर्मेशन दे दो, ऑडियो वीडियो ठीक है. So let's go to the first one. Can somebody tell me that why we are using the asymptotic notations, or what's the purpose of using the asymptotic notations? Asymptotic notations are nothing but this is the shorthand way to write down and talk about the fastest possible or slowest possible running times for an algorithm using high and low bounds on speed. What does it mean? This simply indicates that asymptotic notations एक shorthand तरीका है जिसकी हेल्प से हम बेस्ट केस मीन्स कम से कम टाइम लगेगा एंड वर्स्ट केस मीन्स ज्यादा से ज्यादा टाइम लगेगा. अब कुछ स्टूडेंट्स को कंफ्यूजन होती है स्लोएस्ट पॉसिबल वर्स्ट केस है या फास्टेस्ट पॉसिबल वर्स्ट केस है. जस्ट थिंक व्हेन यू आर सेइंग ज्यादा से ज्यादा क्या हो जाएगा, ज्यादा से ज्यादा कितना टाइम लगेगा अपनी डेस्टिनेशन पे पहुंचने के लिए. ज्यादा से ज्यादा अगर बहुत ज्यादा ट्रैफिक हुआ, ज्यादा से ज्यादा इट विल टेक 30 मिनट्स टू रीच टू द ऑफिस. सो ज्यादा से ज्यादा के केस में आप लोग वर्स्ट पॉसिबिलिटी देखते हो कि ट्रैफिक मिल गया और कोई भी अगर दिक्कत आती है तो मैक्सिमम इट विल टेक 30 minutes. So maximum means we are considering the worst case. So that is the slowest possible running time, right? So slowest possible means we are talking about the worst case. This is giving you the maximum time required. And fastest possible is the best case. That means minimum time required. Correct? So these are also referred as the best case. So definitely fastest possible is referred as the best case and the slowest possible is referred as the worst case scenarios respectively. Importance, they allow the comparison of the performance of various algorithms. What are different types of asymptotic notations that we use? We use big O notation. This is to represent the worst case time complexity. Big O notation used to represent the worst case time complexity. Big omega. This is for best case time complexity. This is used to represent the best case, and theta notation is used to represent the average case. Apart from this, we'll also be having like small o notation and small omega notation, but जो हम हमारे पास गेट में क्वेश्चंस आते हैं या हम कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं, दैट इज विद द हेल्प ऑफ बिग ओ नोटेशन, बिग ओमेगा नोटेशन और द थीटा नोटेशन. ये क्लियर है इतना? Now next one is, what is this big O notation or what is this big omega notation? So for better understanding, let us consider the function. Comparison means we need at least two functions. तभी comparison possible है. You can't do the comparison with a single function. So f of n is, let's say I'm saying that f of n is big O of g of n. First of all, we are talking about the big omega notation. Sorry, big O notation. big O notation. So basically this is providing you the upper bound, means maximum time taken by the function. So let's say that here gn is, basically we can say that this is f of n. जो f of n की value होगी, that will be less than or equal to g of n, and here we do have some constant which separates these two functions. Okay, so for example f of n is n and g of n is n squared. So we can say that g of n is providing the upper bound for the function f of n. Yani ki under any scenario, f of n cannot be greater than g of n. It can be equal or it can be less than. अगर graphically हम इसको represent करते हैं, we are having two functions f of n and g of n. There can be the scenarios when the value is varying, and here this is something like the scenario. So after this point, it is always going to increase. It's the g of n which is providing the upper bound for f of n. Correct? So this is f of n is less than equal to g of n. Similarly, we have big omega notation. This is represented as big omega and used for representing the best case complexity. So if we are given that f of n is big omega of g of n, then we can say that this is nothing but f of n is minimum this much time is required. So at least equal to g of n. Minimum means f of n की value greater हो सकती है, कम से कम जो g of n function represent कर रहे हैं, that much time is required, but greater than that is also possible. Okay, so this is omega notation. Theta notation is when we are saying that both it's the same for both the best case and the worst case, then we can say that it's the theta notation. Make sense? So third one is the theta notation. If I'm saying that f of n is equal to theta of g of n, that means f of n is equal to g of n. Equal कब होगा? We are saying that theta notation will come when we have it is time complexity is same for the best case and the worst case. That means if I'm saying that f of n is big O of g of n and f of n is omega of g of n. So from this we can conclude that f of n is less than equal to g of n and f of n is greater than equal to g of n. So if we are saying that both the conditions are true, ये दोनों conditions कब true होंगी? It will be true only when f of n is equal to, on the basis of this, we can say that f of n is equal to g of n. If this is the scenario, then only we can say that both the conditions will be true. So this is nothing but this is the theta notation. For each and every notation, I'm not going into the details. सिर्फ मैंने overview दिया है. I'm not constructing the graph. ये सारी चीजें हमने detail में discuss की हुई हैं. But if you have any doubt, you can ask. Very good evening, Kanchan. Okay, this is clear. So here, in order to use the required asymptotic notation, obviously we need to identify that which function is greater or which function is smaller. So there also will be using the concept of the comparison of functions. So major cheez hai yahan pe, I think using the asymptotic notation is not difficult, but people sometimes get incorrect answer because they get confused or they are using the tabular method to do the comparison for the given functions, or to compare the functions which are given in the question. Okay. All right, so let's quickly go through what this Telegram group contains. So in this Telegram group, guys, you'll be getting the link for all the YouTube sessions along with the PDF of all the YouTube sessions. तो sessions में आप सिर्फ और सिर्फ concept understanding पे focus कर सकते हो rather than taking down the notes and get distracted by the same. Apart from that, if you have any doubt or query, you can post that in the group. So discussion and doubt solving is there. If you want to interact with me, you can directly post that in Telegram, and apart from that, you can participate in the quiz and poll. क्विज में अगर आपके आंसर्स सही हो रहे हैं तो आपको पता चल जाएगा कि concept clarity is there, and you can focus on the other topics. But if you are getting the incorrect answers, then you'll get to know that your preparation is not up to the mark and you need to prepare more. Okay, so these are the benefits, and the Telegram group is this is Shefali ma'am Testbook. You guys can search for it, or directly you can use the link which is given in the description box. In the description box, that's the third link. Okay, वो third link है, तो आप लोग उस link को join करके you can be a part of this Testbook Telegram group. Okay. All right, so we have talked about the asymptotic notation. Basically, हमारे पास पांच notations आएंगी. So that's the theta notation. F of n is big O of g of n. Big O notation, big O notation. Then we have big omega notation, or let's take this as big O, big omega, small omega. Small o notation. Small o को simply हम small o से represent करते हैं. This is f of n is, I'm using small o here, small o notation. Then we have theta notation. F of n is theta of g of n. This is for theta notation. And then we have big omega notation and small omega notation. F of n is big O of g of n, and f of n is omega of g of n. Now, what does it mean? So big O is saying that f of n is less than equal to g of n. Small o में सिर्फ difference इतना आएगा, equality will not be there. So it's not supporting the type bound, it is just the non-type bound. Simply, strictly smaller than. Equality is missing here. Theta notation means it is equal, big omega means greater than equal to, and small omega means it's strictly greater than. So if we talk about the type bound and the non-type bound means because of the equality, it is supporting the type bound. I'll be writing T for the type bound and NT for non-type bound. So here big O notation is supporting tight and non-tight bound. Because of equality, it's the tight bound, and because of less than, it's the non-tight bound. So small o is just the non-tight bound. This is strictly tight bound. This is tight bound and non-tight bound, and it is non-tight bound. One thing. Next one is, if we are going to provide the description for the same, so we can say that big O notation, यहाँ पे वैल्यू स्मॉलर हो सकती है, इक्वल हो सकती है, बट ग्रेटर नहीं हो सकती. सो वी कैन से दैट इट ग्रोज नो फास्टर देन f of n grows. f of n कैसे ग्रो कर रहा है, या तो लेस होगा या इक्वल होगा, ग्रेटर नहीं होगा. सो f of n grows no faster than g of n. Correct? F of n grows no faster than g of n. In a smaller notation, we can say that f of n is smaller. So f of n grows, दो conditions नहीं आ रही हैं इसमें, equal और greater नहीं आ रहे. तो obviously जो single condition है, that is easier to write. So I'm focusing on that single condition. So here the condition is f of n is smaller than g of n. So I'm writing that f of n grows slower than g of n. F of n is equal to theta of g of n. So what does it mean? This means that f of n grows at the same rate that of g of n. दोनों same rate पे grow कर रहे हैं. F of n is greater than equal to, that means growing faster and equal but not smaller. So f of n grows no smaller than g of n. Here, a small omega notation, it's greater. So f of n grows faster than g of n. So these are the various asymptotic notations. I hope that this is clear to everyone. Is it clear, guys? And when we are talking about the complexity, we always returns the maximum value. For example, I want to represent the function n factorial. I'm going to discuss small concepts which we'll be using throughout our algorithms. So it will help you a lot. So n factorial. Can somebody tell me that what is n factorial? We all know that this is n into n minus 1 into n minus 2 into n minus 3 into, and so on. This way it will be going into 3 into 2 into 1. Yes, I can also write this as n into n minus 1 into n minus 2 into n minus 3, like this. I want to get the value 3. I can write 3 as n minus 3. When you open the brackets, ultimate result comes out to be 3. So I'm writing this as n into n minus 3. 2 can be written as n minus 2, and 1 can be written as n minus 1. Now, if we have to find out the value, तो आप normally multiplication करके value return करते हो, but when we have to return this in the form of function, the function means we always take the greatest one. So here, first term will be, if we are multiplying this n, कितने times multiply कर रहे हैं? We are multiplying it for n times. So ultimately this comes out to be n by n raised to power n. What I'm saying is, let us consider we have two functions, n into n minus 1. So what will be the expansion? This will be n square minus n. तो यहाँ पे greatest function के आपके पास n square. Similarly, if I'm taking n into n minus 1 into n minus 2, then I'll be getting this as n square minus n into n minus 2. And that comes out to be n cube minus n square minus 2n square plus 2n. तो इसमें greatest function क्या है? That is n cube. So this is why I'm writing here. यहाँ पे हमने n को 2 बार multiply किया तो time complexity will be returned as n square. If we are multiplying n for 3 times, तो maximum polynomial क्या आएगा? n cube. So similarly here I'm multiplying this for n times. कैसे पता चला मैम कि n times कर रहे हैं? 0 से स्टार्ट होकर इट इज कितनी टर्म्स आ रही है? 0 से स्टार्ट होकर n में से 0 सब्ट्रैक्ट किया, 1 सब्ट्रैक्ट किया, 2 सब्ट्रैक्ट 3 एंड सो ऑन. दिस इज हाउ वी आर गोइंग टिल n minus 1. 0 से लेकर अगर आप n-1 तक जाते हो, then total how many terms are there? Since 0 is also there, so we can say that we have n terms. Just consider some value for n. For example, n is equal to 5. If I'm going to start it from 0, it will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 terms are there. So like this, here we are multiplying n for n times. So that's why we are getting this as n raised to power n. So asymptotically, बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स को कंफ्यूजन होती है कि मैम हम n फैक्टोरियल को n raised to power n क्यों लिख रहे हैं. That's why I'm taking this in our live session. तो n raised to power n हम ये बोल सकते हैं कि n raised to power n or n factorial is asymptotically equal to n raised to power n. This is not the value wise. जब हम value wise find करते हैं तो जिस तरीके से अब तक हमने n factorial use किए उसी तरीके से use करते हैं. But when we'll be using n factorial in algorithms, will obviously refer to the asymptotic value. Okay. So this is what I wanted to discuss. Anyone having any doubt in this one? Also, let's talk about few logarithmic formulas, because when we'll be doing the comparison, I'll be applying the log function on the given function. So log apply करके obviously we need to simplify it, or simplification के लिए we'll be using few logarithmic formulas. So let's talk about the logarithmic formulas, and this will be sufficient to cover the concepts of algorithms. We need not to go into the much details. So here is a list of some logarithmic formulas. After that, I'll be jumping to the comparison of the functions, because that's actually the most important thing that we have to cover in today's session. So if you are given with log AB with the base something like C, तो आपके पास दो terms हैं जो multiplication में, so we can simply write this as log A, base remains the same, plus log B. This is formula number 1. Second one, log A divided by B. A divided by B means I can write this as log A. Divide में आ रहा है B, तो मैं इसको minus raised to power -1 करके लिख सकती हूँ. Definitely. Now this looks similar to log AB, so we can simply write this as log A minus log B. Now question arises is from where I'm getting this minus, because we have one concept in log. If it's log raised A raised to power B, जो भी power में होता है that comes at the beginning, so it comes out to be B log A. तो यहाँ पे भी यही हुआ था, log A plus you could have written this like log A plus log B raised to power -1, and now this is coming here, so that's why I used here subtraction. Okay, fourth one, log 1 by A, so this can be written as log A raised to power -1, and that is nothing but minus log A. Different variations of the same formula. तो अभी तक major दो formulas आए हैं हमारे पास, right? And one more formula that we'll be using is if it's B raised to power log N and yeah, A. So what we can do is we can just swap out these values, so it comes out to be N log B with the base A. I guess that will be sufficient. बाकी जो भी formulas बनेंगे आप इनको expand कर सकते हो. Basic formulas हम ये use करेंगे. ओके, बाकी की जो भी सीरीज चाहिए वो जब हम क्वेश्चंस करेंगे विल टॉक अबाउट दो सीरीज एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम. So now next one is comparison of functions. Asymptotic notations clear हुई? Asymptotic notations are clear? And I have provided a list of formulas, logarithmic formulas. Is that clear? Confirmation? Okay, let's talk about the comparison of functions. Uh, let's start with simplest one, n square, and g of n is 2 raised to power n. Okay, I want to find out that whether f of n is greater or g of n is greater. अगर आपको ये पता है तो you can easily use the correct asymptotic notation. Method one is the tabular method. पहला मेथड आता है हमारे पास यहाँ पे, that is known as the tabular method. ये tabular method क्या बोल रहा है कि जो भी आपको functions given है, write those functions and write the functions, that is n square is given to you and 2 raised to power n is given to you. Although we know that exponential function is always growing at a faster rate than the quadratic function, but let us assume that कि हमें नहीं मालूम कि दोनों में से कौन सा फंक्शन ग्रेटर है, तो आपको जो भी फंक्शंस गिवन होंगे, for example you are given with the 5 functions and you have to sort them in the ascending or descending order, तो हम सारे functions लिख लेंगे and will substitute the values of n. n की कौन सी वैल्यूज लेनी है, आप कोई भी वैल्यूज ले सकते हो. फॉर एग्जाम्पल आई एम टेकिंग हियर इज 1. just give me a minute. I need to put the system on charging. I guess the battery is low. Just give me a minute. All right. We will take the values of n and substitute here. So पहले मैं क्या कर रही हूँ, यहाँ पे smaller values ले रही हूँ, 1 2 3 4 5 6 something like this. We have considered the values of n. अब इसको substitute कर दो. 1 square is 1, 2 square is 4, 3 square is 9, 4 square is 16, 5 square is 25, 6 square is 36, like this. And if we find out 2 raised to power n, 2 raised to power 1 is 2, 2 raised to power 2 is 4, 2 raised to power 3 is 8, 2 raised to power 4 is 16, 2 raised to power 5 is 32, 2 raised to power 6 is 64, 128, like this. We have taken a very small functions, so it's very easy to calculate the values. But कई बार आपको जब logarithmic functions, square root करके functions given होते हैं, sometimes the functions are not this easy. So every time in each term you have to substitute the value and you will be getting substituting the value of n और finally आपको overall function की value मिलेगी. तो obviously बात है कि सिर्फ 2 या 3 values लेके we cannot say which function is greater. If you observe here, for n is equal to 1, n 2 raised to power n is greater. फिर उसके बाद equal हो गए. Then n square was greater. Then it is becoming equal. And then this is greater, this is greater, this is greater. उसके बाद function stable हो गया. अब अपने mind में वो graph घुमा के देखो जो हमने बनाया था. Before the saturation point, values may vary, but after one point, it gets stable. So here we can say that which function is greater? Obviously 2 raised to power n is greater. So we can say that this function is greater. तो किस तरीके से लिख सकते हैं हम? If we are considering the equality as well, so we can say that f of n is big O of g of n. Why I am writing this as big O of g of n? Because big O is saying that the value is greater than or equal to f of n, right? And this condition holds true for all the values of n naught दैट इज n नॉट कहां पे आया, n नॉट n where n नॉट इज ग्रेटर देन इक्वल टू 4. मेक सेंस guys? Is it making sense? After this point, it's always true, that is f of n is not growing faster than g of n. Okay, this is method 1. अब इस मेथड का ड्रॉबैक क्या है, अगर 5 फंक्शंस गिवन है, एटलीस्ट वी नीड टू सब्स्टिट्यूट 3 और 4 वैल्यूज, कम से कम 4 वैल्यूज सब्स्टिट्यूट करेंगे, आपको सीक्वेंस में भी लेने की जरूरत नहीं है. फॉर एग्जांपल आपने वैल्यू n की वैल्यू ले ली 1, देन यू आर टेकिंग लाइक दिस 20 and 50 or 150 like this. क्योंकि आपसे n नॉट की वैल्यू पूछ नहीं रहे, सिंपली यू हैव टू फाइंड आउट दैट व्हिच फंक्शन इज ग्रेटर, सो यू कैन कंसीडर द वैल्यूज ऑफ n. आपने 4 वैल्यूज कंसिडर किए, 5 फंक्शंस गिवन है, तो टोटल टर्म्स कितनी बनेंगी, इट विल बी 4 into 5, दैट इज 20. सो यू आर सॉल्विंग 20 टर्म्स, तो डेफिनेटली इट इज गोइंग टू टेक एटलीस्ट 3 to 4 minutes. But we have more simpler way for solving this question, that is, I'm talking about the general method. Do you want to know the general method? कितने लोगों को सीखने, अदरवाइज स्टैंडर्ड अप्रोच तो है ही हमारे पास. Are you interested in learning the standard method? कोई एक तरीका बता दो मैम जो सब जगह काम कर जाए, है ना? So there is one method. Blindly what you can do is apply. I always prefer this method when we'll be talking about the previous year questions also. I'll be going for method 2. So what we'll do here is we can apply log on the given functions. जो given functions है उनके ऊपर log apply कर देंगे. So we are given with 2 functions. f of n is given as n square, g of n is given as 2 raised to power n. So apply log on both the functions. So ultimately it comes out to be log n square, and here it will be log 2 raised to power n. हमने log a raised to power b का फॉर्मूला डिस्कस किया हुआ है, just resolve it. So this comes out to be 2 log n, and this comes out to be n log 2. So if you observe this, here this is a constant and here we have log n, and यहाँ पे आपके पास क्या आ रहा है, n. This is, if it's base 2, this comes out to be 1. So ultimately this is a linear function n. अब कोई भी वैल्यू ले लो और अगर आप उसके ऊपर log अप्लाई करते हो तो obviously log is smaller. For example, I'm taking the value of n as 32, and on the other hand I'm taking log 32. Obviously that is smaller, right? So this clearly tells you that हमने सिर्फ log अप्लाई किया, we have simplified the function, and this is saying that we know that logarithmic function is smaller than linear function, so obviously f of n is smaller than g of n. खत्म हो गया. So you need not to substitute any values, but make sure when we are applying the log on the given functions, we cannot ignore the constants. Otherwise, when we are comparing the functions and they only differ by constant value, we say that both the functions are asymptotically equal. What I'm saying is, अगर आपके पास कोई दो functions given है, f of n is given as 2n, g of n is given as 3n, तो हम ये बोल सकते हैं वैल्यू वाइज g of n ग्रेटर है, gn is greater वैल्यू वाइज. आप n की कोई भी वैल्यू डालोगे तो अगर वैल्यू के बेसिस पे कंपेयर करेंगे तो डेफिनेटली वैल्यू वाइज g of n is greater than f of n. But we are not comparing the functions value wise, हमें asymptotically check करने. But asymptotically both are equal, because जब हम asymptotically return करते हैं we ignore the constants. Asymptotically both f of n and g of n are equal. What is the reason behind this? Because simply we can, when we are doing the comparison, we ignore the constants. हम हमेशा constants ignore करते हैं, but there is a special case under which we cannot ignore the constants. That is if you are going to compare the modified function. What do I mean by this point? Let's say I want to compare f of n, which is 2n squared, and g of n is n cube. क्या आप मुझे बता सकते हो दोनों में से कौन सा फंक्शन ग्रेटर है? मैंने पर्पसफुली दो इजी फंक्शन लिए बिकॉज यू नो दैट cubic function is greater than the square, the quadratic function. This is greater. We know that, right? Let us assume that I don't want to substitute the values. I want to apply the log on both the functions. So if I'll be apply, अब यहाँ पे आपके पास constants नहीं है. In the original function, there are no constants. So I'm applying log on both functions. So here we'll get log n squared, and for this one, here we'll get log n cube. So this comes out to be 2 log n, and this is 3 log n. Now we cannot say that f of n and g of n are equal. हम ये नहीं बोल सकते कि f of n equal to g of n है. Reason? अब आप बोलोगे कि मैम यहाँ पे तो हमने equal बोले, asymptotically they are equal, तो kind of same thing we are getting here. This is 2 log n, this is 3 log n. Here in this case we can't ignore the constants. क्यों नहीं कर सकते? क्योंकि जो अब हम comparison कर रहे हैं, we are doing the comparison on the modified function. We have already applied some operation. So conclusion is, अगर आपने functions के ऊपर कोई operation apply किया है, operation apply करने के बाद जो simplified terms आई हैं, उनमें हम constants ignore नहीं कर सकते. Rest everywhere you can ignore the constants. So note here is, this is the only thing that you need to consider while ignoring the constants or while applying the log on the functions. So if log or some function is applied, then don't, मैं इसको bold में लिख रही हूँ, don't ignore constants. तो हम constants ignore नहीं कर सकते. Like अगर यहाँ पे आप constants ignore कर देते हो तो इसका result क्या आएगा? f of n और g of n दोनों equal है. लॉजिकली सोच के देखो, क्वाड्रेटिक फंक्शन और क्यूबिक फंक्शन सेम रेट पे ग्रो करते? बिल्कुल नहीं करते. सो अनडाउटेडली हियर वी कैन नॉट इग्नोर द कांस्टेंट्स. अदरवाइज अगर कोई ऑपरेशन या कोई फंक्शन अप्लाई नहीं किया, अदरवाइज कांस्टेंट्स कैन बी इग्नोर्ड. तो इसमें कोई कंफ्यूज होने वाली चीज नहीं है कि कभी हम इग्नोर कर देते हैं और कभी नहीं करते. यूजुअली हम हर केस में इग्नोर करते हैं, प्रोवाइडेड कोई फंक्शन या लॉग अप्लाई ना हो. मेक सेंस? So out of these two methods, I'll be preferring this method because this is going to take the less time. We need not to substitute the values. We need not to actually do anything here. So yeah, we'll be following this one. इसके अलावा third method और होता है. ये दो methods तो हर केस में आप apply कर ही सकते हो. Third method होता है which is question specific. जैसे कोई term है जो common निकल रही है, we can simply take out that term common or like that. Okay, let's take the example for the same. Let us say f of n is n squared log n and g of n is given as n log n raised to power 10. तो दो मेथड्स तो हमारे पास है ही है. मेथड वन को तो हम वैसे ही बाहर निकाल देते हैं. व्हाट इज मेथड वन? दैट इज सैम्पलिंग सम वैल्यूज इन द गिवन फंक्शंस, right? So I'm not going to sample the values for n. And apart from that, we have two more methods. One is method 1. यहाँ पे सिंप्लीफाई करने के लिए हम देख सकते हैं कि वी आर गेटिंग n log n term is present in both the functions. So what I'm saying is divide both the functions by n log n. Divide both the functions by n log n. अब हर केस में, हर क्वेश्चन में हम n log n से डिवाइड करेंगे? बिल्कुल नहीं करेंगे. दिस इज क्वेश्चन स्पेसिफिक. We have observed both the functions and we have observed that n log n is present in both the terms. So this is a question specific method. Question specific method without sampling the values. So here we get f of n को जब आपने n log n से divide किया, this comes out to be n only, n log n, and it comes out to be n. And when you have divided the given function g of n with the value, with the term n log n, so this comes out to be log n only. So obviously f of n results into the linear function. This is the linear function and this is the logarithmic function. Out of linear function and logarithmic function, obviously linear function is greater. Linear function is greater, so we can say that f of n is greater than g of n. Okay, this is one approach. Another method is method 2. जो हमने रामबान बोले, that means it will work for every equation. Method 2 is simply apply log on the given functions. Apply log on the given functions. तो यहाँ पे मुझे कुछ भी नहीं करना. So this is the general method. आपको कुछ भी सोचने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. General method. So what we'll do here is we'll apply the log on the given functions. It will be log n square log n. This is for f of n, and for g of n it will be log n raised to power 10. So here we can apply the formula for log AB. So this is one term, this is second term, A and B. So log A plus B, so it comes out to be log n square plus log A plus log B. एक log already आ रहा है, so it comes out to be log of log n. We can write this as 2 log n plus log of log n. In this case, again, we'll be getting log A. A is n plus log of B. What is this B? It's log n raised to power 10. A raised to power B को हम लिख सकते हैं B log A. It comes out to be log n plus 10 log of log n. जो हमने basic formulas discuss किए, I am just using those formulas. Now we have to do the comparison between these two terms. Which one is greater? 2 log n plus log of log n is greater or log n plus 10 log of log n is greater? इसका मतलब कि 2 rupees and 1 पैसा, क्योंकि सब पार्ट आ गया. लॉग ऑफ लॉग एन के ऊपर भी आपने लॉग अप्लाई कर दिया. 2 rupees and 1 पैसा, एंड हियर दिस इज 1 rupee and 10 पैसा. विच वन इज ग्रेटर? ऑब्वियसली 2 rupees वाली टर्म ग्रेटर है. 1 rupee के साथ जितने मर्जी पैसा आ जाए, इट विल बी लेस देन 2 rupees ओनली. So we can say that this function is greater. This function is greater, and this was nothing but this was f of n. So we got here f of n is greater than g of n. यहाँ पे मैं सिर्फ कंपैरिजन करवा रही हूँ. असिम्प्टोटिक नोटेशंस आपको पता है क्या मीनिंग है, एंड यू कैन यूज इट. इज दिस क्लियर? सो इन शॉर्ट वी हैव डिस्कस्ड 3 मेथड्स. एक मेथड होगा सैम्पलिंग द वैल्यूज, there will be method 3. Method 3 will be sampling the values. Which method will you be following? Sample the values in the given functions. So out of these 3 methods, which method will you be following? Any choice and the reason behind the same? Method 1, method 2, and we have method 3. Guys, कौन सा method follow करना है? So it's completely your choice. I have discussed the various ways of solving equations. So it's completely your choice which one you want to follow. But I would recommend you to go with method 2. Okay. So I'm taking few more functions. You have to tell me that whether the function is greater, equal, or they are asymptotically same. So comparison of functions means asymptotically check करेंगे. F of n is given as 3n raised to power n. G of n is given as 2 raised to power n log n. Try this one. And if you have any doubt or query, you can write in the chat section. I'm reading your comments. Can you solve it? F of n is greater, f of n is smaller than g of n, or is it equal? In this function, there is nothing much to solve, simplify. So what we can do is, we know that if it's b log a, this can be written as log a raised to power b. So I can write this as 2 log n raised to power n. And we also know that if we have log a raised to power b, we can write this as log b log a. So if I'm going to take these values, if I'm taking this is one term. So here we'll get n raised to power n log 2. And this log 2 is nothing but this is 1. So ultimately we are getting n root n. Now do the comparison for n root n and 3 n root n. Did we apply any function? जो आपको गिवन फंक्शन था इसके ऊपर हमने कोई भी फंक्शन अप्लाई किया, हमने कोई फंक्शन अप्लाई नहीं किए. We have just simplified that function. So we are not applying, since no function is applied in this one, since no function was applied, so we can ignore the constants for the comparison. Ignore the constants फॉर कंपैरिजन। असिम्प्टोटिकली आंसर चाहिए, इसलिए कॉन्स्टेंट्स को इग्नोर कर सकते हैं। मैथ्स की प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर रहे हो उसमें कॉन्स्टेंट्स इग्नोर नहीं कर सकते हैं। सो हियर बोथ द फंक्शंस आर सेम. This is just 3x and this is only x. So I can ignore the constant. So we can say that f of n is asymptotically equal to g of n. That is f of n is equal to g of n. Any doubt? Anyone having any doubt? अब क्वेश्चन आपकी तरफ से ये आ सकता है कि मैम अगर एक बार लॉग फंक्शन अप्लाई करने के बाद या कोई भी फंक्शन अप्लाई करने के बाद आंसर नहीं मिला, कैन वी अप्लाई इट अगेन? डेफिनेटली यू कैन. लेट्स कंसिडर वन एग्जांपल. f of n is given as n raised to power log n and g of n is given as 2 raised to power n. We have to identify that which function is greater. Let's assume कि मुझे नहीं समझ में आ रहा है कि कौन सा फंक्शन ग्रेटर है. So what we'll do is apply log on both the functions. Take log on both the functions. Okay, so here we'll get log n raised to power log n, and here we get log 2 raised to power n. Simplify it. This comes out to be log n, ये वाली टर्म फ्रंट पे आ जाएगी, into log n, that is log n square. And when you simplify this one, this comes out to be root n log 2. So we can simply ignore it because this value is 1. So this is coming out to be root n and this is log n square. Now we do not know that whether log n raised to power 2 is greater or root n is greater. So अगर नहीं समझ में आ रहा, then again we can apply the log. Again apply log on both the functions. After applying log on both the functions, again we'll get here log n square, and here we get log n root n को हम लिख सकते हैं 1 by 2, 1 by 2, right? Now simplify it. This is log a raised to power b, so formula is b log a. And if you see here, we get 1 by 2, जो भी पावर है वो फ्रंट पे आ जाएगी, 1 by 2 log n. Now can you make a comparison? This is log n, this is log of log n. So obviously log n is greater. So I'll say that g of n, in this case g of n is greater than f of n, asymptotically. Asymptotically, this is greater. Make sense? So this is the, I guess, best way and the easier option to do the comparison for the function. So blindly I'm just applying the log on the given functions, and logarithmic formulas, जो 2-3 formulas main formulas है वो use करके you can simplify the expression and you can do the comparison. The only thing to note here is, if you have applied any function on or any operation on the given functions, then you cannot ignore the constants. Otherwise, asymptotically जब हम check करते हैं तो we can ignore the constants. Is this clear? So you can do the practice on these concepts, and after covering the previous year questions of B tree and B plus tree and concurrency control protocols, locking protocols and timestamp based protocols, then we'll come up with the previous year questions on asymptotic notations and comparison of functions. ओके, तो जो asymptotic notations के questions आते हैं, many a times you have to make the comparison of functions. So this is completely a one unit, and I hope that you have learned the concept and you got the difference. Yes. So today we'll end our discussion here. This is all that I wanted to discuss with you guys. So we have a Telegram group जिसमें मैं ये PDF share कर दूंगी ताकि आप refer कर सको. I have written each and every point in the slide, whatever is required for you guys to solve the question. So you can join the Telegram group, that is Shefali ma'am Testbook, or you can search this in the Telegram, or you can directly use the link to join this Telegram group. इसमें आपको PDF मिल जाएंगी, डिस्कशन जो भी डाउट्स और क्वेरीज होंगी आप अपनी पोस्ट कर सकते हो. यू कैन डायरेक्टली इंटरेक्ट विद मी. क्विज एंड पोल इज आल्सो देयर. लेट मी शेयर माय स्क्रीन विद यू गाइस so that you get to know that where is that link available actually. Okay, I hope that my screen is visible. So let's go to YouTube. Mm, sorry, let's skip that. So currently this is going on. So when you go to the description here, this first link is for the master class जिसमें हम लोग PYQ solve करते हैं. Then we have the NIC super coaching. So this is for the NIC people. And if you want to join the Telegram group, that this is the third link, join Gate Super Coaching Telegram. तो आप जैसे ही आप इस link पे click करोगे, it will take you to the Telegram group. And fourth link is for joining the Super Coaching Gate, जिसमें मैंने आपको बताया था कि we have discussed this thing in detail. We have seen each and every concept with the help of more number of examples and in more detail. हर एक चीज के पीछे की डिटेल में रीजनिंग दी गई है. So that is available under the super coaching. So those sessions will be available in the recorded format. But soon we'll start with इसमें आपको live series भी मिलती है. So we are going to start with the live series in which you will be getting the live sessions. That will be the quick revision sessions plus डाउट सॉल्विंग सेशंस एंड पीवाईक्यू सेशन. तो ये सारे लाइव में आएंगे, बट जो डिटेल कॉन्सेप्ट डिस्कशन है दैट इज अवेलेबल इन द रिकॉर्डेड फॉर्मेट. तो आप ऑल कोर्सेज में देख सकते हो. यू हैव द फुल कोर्सेज और यू हैव लाइक subject wise courses are there. So I'm going to the full courses. Full courses provided by the Geek Forum, by Digimento, by Nimbus Learning, and by me and my team. So you can see here in this course, just 250 videos are there for a complete course. So you can go through it, you can download the curriculum, you can view the full course. Right now, this will show you that you cannot follow the videos because here you need the subscription. तो आप यहाँ से भी subscription पे जा सकते हो, or you can go to the pricing and you can go for the subscription. So here recorded videos are available. You can see here corresponding to each and every video session आएगा, like this is of 92 minutes. Then on the basis of this there are 6 questions. Then this session is of 98 minutes. Then there are the questions over it. तो प्रैक्टिस क्वेश्चंस आपको साथ साथ में मिलेंगे. सो सुपर कोचिंग का बेनिफिट इज यू विल गेट द कंटेंट, यू विल गेट द प्रैक्टिस क्वेश्चन, यू विल गेट द बेनिफिट्स ऑफ द पास, यानी कि टेस्ट सीरीज के सारे बेनिफिट्स मिलेंगे. एंड थर्ड वन इज you will get the study notes. Study notes means जितनी भी notes है, all the notes will be available in the PDF format for general mathematics, general aptitude, formula notes, and computer science engineering. So if I click on this, you can see here programming and data structure से 5 PDF है. On an average, we have 5 concepts, 5 units. तो हर unit की एक PDF है जिसमें आपके पास detailed notes मिलेंगे. And other one is the formula notes. Under formula notes there is only one PDF for one subject. So difference कहाँ पे आता है? जो detailed notes है, in that the concepts are written along with the examples, whereas in formula notes we just have included the important concepts, important formulas and points to be taken care of. Okay, that is only there in the formula notes. Formula notes को हम beginning पे refer नहीं करते. Formula notes are beneficial when you are एग्जाम इज अप्रोचिंग एंड आपके पास बहुत कम टाइम बचा है, तो क्विक रिवीजन के लिए विल गो थ्रू द फॉर्मूला नोट्स, विल नॉट रेफर टू द डिटेल नोट्स एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम. Okay, so this is the benefit. Mock test is there, live series is there, demo classes are will also be there, and you can have a look over the profile of the teachers. मेरा प्रोफाइल आपको टेक्स्ट बुक पे मिल जाएगा. बाकी जितने भी कोर्सेज प्रोवाइड हो रहे हैं, यू कैन check the profile of the educators. All are like highly experienced educators, those who are taking the sessions on this platform. Next one is pricing. So if you want to get the super coaching plan, so we have three plans for the same: 1 year plan, 2 year plan, and 3 year plan. 1 year plan is basically beneficial for the students which are in the final year of BTech or those who are pass out and they are targeting on GATE. And 2 year plan is for the students, those who are in third year or fourth year, not fourth year, second year or third year. I guess this is the recommended one because जो GATE का syllabus है, that is containing the subjects, core technical subjects which you are covering, which you are studying in the second or third year of BTech. यानी कि जो थर्ड फोर्थ फिफ्थ सिक्स सेमेस्टर में आप सब्जेक्ट्स कवर करते हो वो सारे के सारे गेट सिलेबस का पार्ट है. सो इफ यू हैव प्रिपेयर्ड द सब्जेक्ट्स फ्रॉम गेट पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू पे मैंने इतना स्ट्रेस क्यों दिया, क्योंकि गेट में हम कॉन्सेप्ट्स पे फोकस करते हैं, जबकि हमें ये मालूम है कि यूनिवर्सिटीज में मेन फोकस इज ऑन थ्योरी. So if you have understood the concepts in depth, आपको numericals में clarity है, तो question कितना भी घूम के आ जाए, you will be easily able to help, you will be easily able to handle that question. But आपने देखा होगा कई बार अगर किसी पेपर में न्यूमेरिकल्स आ जाए या कोड पूछ लिया या एल्गोरिथम पूछ लिया, देन पीपल आर लाइक पेपर वाज वेरी डिफिकल्ट. डिफिकल्ट इसलिए था क्योंकि जो प्रिपरेशन थी दैट वाज ओनली थ्योरी फोकस्ड. Okay, so this will help you in your semesters and in your BTech score. Apart from that, it will also help you in your campus placements. Plus, अभी आपने देखा होगा जो इसरो का सिलेबस है, notification is out, so it's closely related to GATE, and majority of the questions which are asked in the ISRO, those are the previous year GATE questions. इसरो का एग्जाम है, डीआरडीओ इज रिक्रूटिंग ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ द गेट. सो डीआरडीओ का भी नोटिफिकेशन आ चुका है. सो नाउ देयर आर लॉट मेनी पीएसयूज दोज हु आर रेफरिंग टू गेट एस्पिरेंट्स. अगर डायरेक्टली इंटरव्यू राउंड है, अगर रिटन राउंड है, तो डेफिनेटली जो मेजॉरिटी क्वेश्चंस होंगे इट विल बी रिलेटेड टू द गेट स्टैंडर्ड और फ्रॉम द previous year gate papers. So I'll recommend you to go for 2 year plan if you are in second year, but if you are in third year or fourth year, then in that case you can go for 1 year plan. So 1 year plan is for 13,499, whereas 2 year plan is for 21,094. So in order to get the maximum benefits and the maximum discount, you can use here the code that is Shefali S. Okay, you can apply this code and you will get the maximum benefits. Anyone having any doubt? So this is all from my side. If you guys have any doubt, you can write that in the chat section. Otherwise, we'll end the discussion here. So analysis we have already done. So yes, we will be having the marathon sessions, or there will be no offer this weekend. So Saturday and Sunday, I'll be taking 2 sessions. This is the plan for the weekend. Both the sessions will be on YouTube. One will be at 6 p.m. and other one will be at 9 p.m. I guess 6 p.m. slot is for GATE. Those who are targeting on GATE, 9 p.m. pe will be having the session for ISRO aspirants. Same goes with the Sunday. Sunday also will be having 2 sessions, one at 6 p.m. in which I'll be covering the concepts of GATE, and at 9 p.m. we'll be having the session for ISRO. Topics to be covered under these sessions is, in this session, I'll be discussing the concept of the substitution method, that is solving the recurrence relation, substitution method. Whereas in this one, we'll talk about recursive tree and master's theorem. Recursive tree method and master's theorem. These are the methods for solving the recurrence relations. Because after that, I'll directly jump to the algorithm designing techniques, divide and conquer की applications से start करेंगे. So I want to finish these topics on skills. And in the ISRO, we will be discussing the previous year questions which were asked in 2020. Because इस 2023 से पहले जो ISRO का पेपर हुआ था, that was in 2020. So we'll be covering the previous year questions which were asked in 2020. तो कल वाले सेशन में हम लोग क्वेश्चंस करेंगे फ्रॉम डेटा स्ट्रक्चर्स एंड एल्गोरिथम 2020 में जो डीएस और एल्गो के क्वेश्चंस आए थे. संडे को आई विल बी टेकिंग द क्वेश्चंस फ्रॉम डिजिटल एंड डीबीएमएस, ओके, और ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम. विल डिस्कस दैट लेटर. Apart from that, Monday to Friday, we are having 2 sessions per day. One is on the YouTube and other one is on the Testbook platform, that is the masterclass. So guys, please take a note of this point. Only the super coaching classes are paid. Apart from that, all the sessions are free. Master classes are in fact free. You need not to pay anything for these master classes. Time for the YouTube session is 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. जो अभी हमारा सेशन चल रहा है 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. and for the master class it's 8 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. In the YouTube sessions, I'm covering the concepts, no questions, just for concept clarity, I take few examples, nothing more than that. But जितने भी concepts के basis पे PYQs आए हुए हैं या important set of questions है, questions, practice questions और PYQs are covered in the master classes. बीच में 2 दिन का गैप लेके चल रहे हैं, like 2 दिन पहले on Wednesday, whatever topic we had covered on the YouTube, on the basis of that questions will be covered in today's session. तो Wednesday को हम लोगों ने B tree और B plus tree की बात की थी. So today we will be having, after this we will be having the master class at 8 p.m. So today in the master class I'll be covering the PYQs from B tree and B plus tree. PYQs on B tree and B plus tree. जिन लोगों ने सेशंस देखे हुए हैं उनके लिए तो बेनिफिशियल है ही है, और अगर आप नहीं भी सेशन देखा है then also you can join the session, because through the questions you will get to know that how to use the concept of the topic, or what sort of questions can be asked. So try to join the live sessions, because in case if you have any query you can ask at the same time. Otherwise वो फिर queries आपकी इकट्ठी होती रहती है, doubts इकट्ठे होते रहते हैं और finally you come up with nothing. Okay, so anyone having any doubt or query? I guess there is no query, so we'll end our discussion here. Thank you so much guys, God bless you, and see you at 8 p.m. Take care.